News are India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Labour Party set for landslide victory in the UK general election. Exit poll shows Labour takes lead, secures 118 seats so far. Conservatives at 15. Defence Secretary Shapps loses a seat. Labour Party leader Keir Starmer wins his parliamentary seat, set to be UK Prime Minister, says UK has voted for change and it begins right there.
You have voted. It is now time for us to deliver.
Hopes rise in West Asia as US claims breakthrough in talks, says Hamas has made significant adjustment over hostage release deal. Israel sends delegation to Doha to resume talks with Hamas. Iran's presidential election heads to second round. No candidate secured a majority in the first round of the election on the 28th of June. And in sports, night of clash of the giants in Euro 2024 as host Germany to take on Spain in the first quarter-finals, Portugal to take on France later in the night. Well, on to the details. The United Kingdom is on the brink of a significant political shift as the country voted in a parliamentary election on the 4th of July. That is expected to bring Keir Starmer's Labour Party to power. Labour Party leader Starmer wins his parliamentary seat after winning a seat in Holborn and St Pancras. Starmer said, "The change begins right here. It is time for us to deliver."
Tonight, people here and around the country have spoken, and they're ready for change, to end the politics of performance, a return to politics as public service. The change begins right here, because this is your democracy, your community, and your future. You have voted. It is now time for us to deliver.
Well, Britain's Labour Party won the first parliamentary constituency, beating the Reform UK candidate into second place in the Houghton and Sunderland South seat in Northern England, while Nigel Farage's Reform UK party won its first parliamentary seat, with Lee Addison retaining a seat he had won in 2019 when he was a member of the Conservative Party. As per poll predictions, Starmer is heavily favoured to win a historic mandate, and the Conservatives, led by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, are going to face their worst defeat in 14 years. Results from the UK's 650 constituencies trickle in overnight, with the winning party expected to cross 326 seats, the threshold for a parliamentary majority. If Tories lose the Yorkshire constituency, this would make Rishi Sunak the first sitting Prime Minister to lose his seat in a general election. And Labour Party supporters celebrated the UK parliamentary election exit poll predictions, which predicted Keir Starmer becoming Britain's next Prime Minister, and his Labour Party set to win a massive majority. Londoners welcomed the projection, saying the change would be welcome after 14 years of Conservative rule.
There needed to be a change, and something needed to change. And actually, I really like Keir Starmer, and I think that you have to go with someone else. But what I would definitely like is them to have some opposition. So we were just saying that we think probably it might swing back down to sort of 340, 350 for Labour, and then at least there'll be a little bit of opposition there with Conservatives.
We needed a change because the Conservatives haven't done a great job over the last few years, which is a great news. But I don't like as much as they're winning, because it'd be great if there would be a balance between Labour and Conservative. I still want the Labour to win.
And for more, we have Ollie Barrett joining us from Westminster in London. Thanks for joining us, Ollie. Aligning with the exit polls as the results trickle in, Labour takes lead, secures 118 seats so far, Conservatives at 15, Labour Party leader Starmer wins his parliamentary seat. What's your take?
My take is that this is an extraordinary result for the Labour Party. It's not perfect. I mean, for example, in recent moments, we've heard that the Labour Party have not won the seat that Jeremy Corbyn, the former leader of the Labour Party, was contesting as an independent. Jeremy Corbyn has won that seat in North London. Labour not able to take it from him. We've also just heard that one of the senior shadow cabinet members, Jonathan Ashworth for Labour, contesting a seat in Leicester, has not won that seat either. That's also gone to an independent candidate. So as I say, this is not a blanket perfect performance from the Labour Party, and there will be other episodes as the counting continues that demonstrate that as well. But broadly, this seems to be a very, very positive victory for the Labour Party of historic proportions, and it seems that has happened partly because of the falling out of favour of the Conservative Party led by Rishi Sunak, but also the fact that Reform UK on the right wing of British politics have been eating into Conservative Party support as well. So now that the results are coming in constituency by constituency very rapidly indeed, we're getting all of these results lining up, which will tell us pretty quickly now whether the exit poll was in the right area when it comes to the forecasting. We've heard, of course, the first words from Keir Starmer not wanting to make any kind of victory speech just yet for the party, but saying in his own constituency victory speech that he wants to be an agent of change and also bring stability to the UK.
All right. Also, Ollie, as Sunak's 18-month tenure might draw to a close as we see 2024 election is set to overall British politics. Can you tell us more as what is up after the results?
What happens after this for Rishi Sunak is that he will be expected to make a concession speech at some point today and tell us we expect that he's stepping aside as leader of the Conservative Party. Exactly how that plays out remains to be seen. One of the reasons that it's unpredictable for the Conservative Party at the moment is that we are seeing senior Conservative MPs losing their races. The biggest example of that so far is Grant Shapps, the Defence Secretary. He has lost his seat, his fight in Welwyn, and therefore will not be an MP past the next election. Several cabinet ministers have lost their seats as well, and that is taking possible Conservative leadership contenders out of that race to replace Rishi Sunak. So exactly who can fight that race depends partly on people actually being in the House of Commons behind me in the days ahead and into next week. And so some soul searching for the Conservatives to do. Some Conservatives believe that the party should now tack to the right to take on the Reform UK party led by Nigel Farage. Others in the party think that ceding the centre ground is why Labour have made so many gains in the election.
All right, but as you said, Major Farage from the Reform Party also wins his seat. Is Britain bucking the trend of Europe's shift to the right?
It does look like that overall, yes, but we can't ignore the fact that the Reform UK party is a right-of-centre party and has surged in this election. If in many seats up and down the country you added together the support that was given, the votes that were given to Reform and the Conservatives, effectively if Reform hadn't existed, then many Conservatives will tell you that actually they could have performed much better, squeezed the victory of the Labour Party, perhaps even challenged the Labour Party for its majority. And so that will be one of the key considerations for the Conservatives going forward, what kind of strategy to take on with regards to Reform. Some in the Conservative Party think that should be some kind of merger, that even perhaps Nigel Farage should be admitted into the Conservative Party at some point in the future. All of that very unpredictable at this point, partly because Nigel Farage has been campaigning strongly against the Conservatives in this particular election campaign. So as I say, huge amounts of soul searching ahead for the Conservatives, and Reform have some decisions to make as well once they understand exactly how many MPs they're going to have in the House of Commons.
All right. Also, Ollie, if we talk about Starmer, his deliberate shift from socialism to centrism has been criticized by the political pundits, but it seems to have a winning strategy overall.
Keir Starmer was criticised during the election campaign for perhaps playing it safe at times, for not being radical enough with his manifesto, but that was a strategy from the Labour leadership. What he wanted to do was plant his party firmly in the centre ground of British politics. Now, Conservatives will say he's a socialist through and through, that he's intending to put taxes up in ways that he hasn't yet admitted, that he wants to be a big state spending machine of the likes of some previous Labour governments and Labour oppositions would like to have been. He will deny that, but of course the proof will be in the pudding when he gets into government. How will he govern? Exactly how will he tackle the economic difficulties that the country faces, the difficulties around public services, public spending, the public finances as well? Both the Conservatives and Labour were accused during the election campaign of a conspiracy of silence in terms of being honest about the state of the UK's public finances. Keir Starmer says the way he'll get round that is by delivering growth to the UK economy. Again, that very much remains to be seen, and the proof will be in the pudding.
All right. Also, when Starmer was elected by the party members to lead Labour in 2020, after Labour's worst defeat we saw in 85 years, Starmer had declared it his mission to make the party electable again. And 4 years down the line later, he's ready to now take Britain's top job.
Indeed, and when he said that he had a mission to turn the party around and make it electable again, many of his colleagues in the Labour Party at that time said, look, this is the job of a decade, not of one parliament, not of 4 or 5 years, and Keir Starmer was insistent that it was possible. But we should bear in mind that just a couple of years ago, Boris Johnson, when he was still at that time UK Prime Minister, was talking about being in office for 3 terms himself. He was riding high in the polls early in his premiership and at the start of the COVID-19 outbreak and the government's dealing with it, handling of it. At that time, Boris Johnson thought he would be in power for a long time, as did many Conservatives, and many in Labour were fearful that they would not see a return to power for a long time and were pessimistic about the chances that Keir Starmer had of turning things around. Well, he has done that in the sense that he has delivered. It appears, according to the exit polls and the constituency numbers that we're seeing so far, he has achieved that mission, it seems, in a very short period of time.
All right, things have indeed changed drastically. Thank you so much, Ollie, for joining us and letting us know all that updates. And now, update on Israel-Hamas conflict. The United States has claimed a breakthrough in Gaza ceasefire talks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a telephonic conversation with the U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday. During the talks, Netanyahu said he has decided to send a delegation to resume stalled negotiations on a hostage release deal with Hamas. U.S. President Joe Biden welcomed the development, which comes a day after Hamas responded to a Gaza ceasefire plan he outlined in late May. The last indirect talks took place in Cairo earlier in May. Early on Wednesday, Hamas's political leadership said it had contacted mediators from Egypt and Qatar about ideas it had been discussing with the aim of reaching an agreement. Israel spy chief David Barnea is traveling to Qatar to resume Gaza ceasefire and hostage release talks, which will likely to take place on Friday. The Mossad chief is also expected to meet with Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani in an effort to bring together Israel and Hamas. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Russian President Putin reacts on Donald Trump's comments on ending Ukraine war. U.S. President Joe Biden vows to fight on in the election race. And after severe destruction, Hurricane Beryl slightly weakens to Category 3.
our forests really do support our existence in crucial ways. Let's find some inspiration on what we can do for them.
We started creating a fire line to save the trees. To fight fires nowadays, we use advanced technologies like early warning systems. The Forest Survey of India's Fire Alert website.
Mining is happening to such a big extent that hill after hill is being razed to the ground.
We're going to plant only local species. We got an expert on hand. We reached out to experts who knew about what it means to take on.
So if we look at the way the indigenous communities have managed the food system, you will see a component of diversity.
NESPAS now supports more than 130 villages in northeastern India.
Welcome back. You're watching the India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on, President Vladimir Putin said that Russia would not declare a ceasefire in Ukraine until Kyiv takes steps that are irreversible and acceptable to Moscow on Thursday.
We simply cannot go ahead and declare a ceasefire now in the hope that the other side will take some positive steps. This is number one. Secondly, we cannot allow the enemy to take advantage of this ceasefire to improve its position, rearm itself, boost its army through forced mobilization, and be prepared to continue the armed conflict. We need to ensure that the other side agrees to take steps that are irreversible and acceptable to the Russian Federation. And therefore, a ceasefire without reaching this agreement is impossible.
While speaking on U.S. presidential debate, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that he had seen fragments of the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump and takes Trump's proposals on Ukraine seriously.
You know that Mr. Trump, as a presidential candidate, declares that he is ready and wants to stop the war in Ukraine. We take this quite seriously. I am not familiar, of course, with his possible proposals on how he plans to do this. And this, of course, is the key question. But I have no doubt that he is saying this sincerely, and we support this.
Well, Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Medvedev, said that around 190,000 recruits have signed contracts to join the Russian military so far in 2024 on Thursday.
In general, the task set by President to recruit contract military personnel and volunteers in the interest of the joint group of forces in 2024 is being fulfilled. The average daily recruitment rate remains stable at about 1,000 people. This figure may fluctuate in one direction or the other. During this time, contracts were signed by about 190,000 citizens of the Russian Federation.
Well, Iran will proceed to a runoff election after no candidate secured a majority in the first round of the election on the 28th of June. Over 60% of voters abstained from the June 28th ballot for a successor to Ibrahim Raisi following his death in a helicopter crash, a historic low turnout. Friday's vote will be a tight race between lawmaker Masoud Pezeshkian and the sole moderator in the original field of 4 candidates and former Revolutionary Guards member Saeed Jalili. Preliminary election results are expected to be released by Saturday morning. And admitting his weak performance in last week's debate against former U.S. President and Republican candidate Donald Trump, U.S. President Joe Biden vowed to fight on in the election race. Addressing military families at an Independence Day event at White House, Biden said that he wasn't going anywhere and yelled out supporters to keep up the fight.
This could not be done without the family support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you, and I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. All right. All right, I'll come back out when they open the gate, okay? Thank you, thank you.
And offering a forceful defense of embattled President Joe Biden on Thursday, California Governor Gavin Newsom told Democrats in Michigan that the 81-year-old president has the record and energy to win a second term despite widespread doubts about his ability to campaign or govern effectively. Newsom's speech is part of an effort from Biden's re-election campaign and the White House to reassure party activists and the broader electorate that Biden is up to job after he appeared addled in his debate against former President Donald Trump. And Peru's President Dina Boluarte and Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa signed a joint declaration that seeks to promote bilateral cooperation between the Latin American countries on Thursday. Both the leaders pledged to join efforts to fight transnational organized crime and also discussed new possibilities for oil processing. On oil integration, the two leaders discussed the possibility of processing Ecuadorian oil at the Talara refinery. The Talara refinery is in serious trouble with millions of dollars in debt and little liquidity to keep it running. And Peru's Congress passed a law introducing a statute of limitations for crimes against humanity on Thursday, despite opposition from human rights organizations who fear it will impede investigations into serious abuses. The law was approved with 15 votes in favor and 12 votes against it in the Congress Permanent Commission, following initial approval from the right-wing legislature with 60 votes in favor and 36 against it. The Inter-American Court of Human Rights has urged Peru to annul the law, but President Dina Boluarte's government has rejected this request, citing it as interference. The law needs to be signed by the president before implementation, and Boluarte is expected to do so in the coming days. And anti-government protesters shows rage against the imposition of tax hikes by the government in Nairobi. These tax increases have sparked widespread anger among the citizens who are already struggling with high living costs and economic challenges. The activists say the violence was the work of goons hired by politicians to either discredit legitimate demonstrators or advance their own agendas. And Argentine government workers protested in many cities on Thursday, calling layoffs caused by President Javier Milei's policies unfair. General Secretary at the State Workers Association, Rodolfo Aguiar, said the measure was deemed as a labor fraud, adding the Constitution protects the stability of public workers. The dismissed workers said no one provided them the explanation for the dismissal. Earlier in June, Milei announced that 75,000 state workers would be fired, along with the disappearance of half of the existing government ministries as measures to cut government spending. Well, an update on Hurricane Beryl now. Hurricane Beryl continues its tear across the Caribbean, churning towards the Cayman Islands and Mexico after slamming Jamaica on Wednesday night. At least 10 people have now been killed across the region. The storm has weakened slightly down to a Category 3, but still has sustained winds of 120 miles per hour or nearly 200 kilometers per hour. Tony Waterman has the latest from Texas, where the storm is now headed. Take a look.
Beryl was pounding the Cayman Islands on Thursday, bringing strong winds, storm surges, and damaging waves. The U.S. National Hurricane Center is expecting up to 15 centimeters of rain to fall, and this comes after the storm dumped more than a month's worth of rain on Jamaica. The island's capital, Kingston, receiving double the amount of rain it normally would in July in just the span of 24 hours. At least 2 people are known to have died on the island, including a 26-year-old who was swept away by floodwaters, and also a woman who died when a tree fell on her home. Hundreds of thousands of people in Jamaica right now remain without power, making it difficult to know the real extent of the damage or if that death toll is even higher. The storm is now on a collision course with Mexico before spilling into the Gulf, where it could hit parts of South Texas over the weekend. Even the possibility of the center of the storm tracking over us here in central Texas, although meteorologists expect it to be significantly weakened. Scientists say record high water temperatures due to climate change is the main culprit here, something that won't be changing in the coming months, teeing up this hurricane season to potentially be one of the most destructive and active in a very long time. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Well, Italy's civil protection escalated the alert level for Stromboli volcano to red on Thursday. The authorities said it initiated an operational pre-alert phase following a significant increase in volcanic activity. A video released by the Italian fire brigades showed a cycloclastic flow rapidly descending from the volcano, reaching the coastline and extending into the sea for several hundred of meters. Volcanic activity has intensified in Sicily's Mount Etna as well, prompting local authorities to temporarily close the airport in Catania. An intense heat gripped Japan, with daytime highs rising above body temperature at some places. The Japan Meteorological Agency said a high-pressure system intensified over eastern and western Japan, bringing the regions under a blazing sun. The highest temperature was recorded at 39.3 degrees Celsius in Shizuoka City on Thursday. Aichi Prefecture's Nagoya City and the central Tokyo both saw the mercury hit 35 degrees for the first time this summer. Aichi Prefecture officials had also reported 47 suspected cases of heat stroke till late afternoon. People are advised to take health precautions and regularly check a heat index on a government website. And tens of thousands of people in Northern California are leaving their homes as wildfires grow across the state. About 28,000 people were under evacuation warnings and orders on Thursday after the Thompson fire broke out 2 days earlier. Dangerously hot weather is expected to continue, with temperatures of 118 Fahrenheit forecasted in some areas until early next week. The city of Oroville, where the Thompson fire started, cancelled its 4th July Independence Day fireworks celebration over the risk of starting another blaze. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Students in Scotland talked face-to-face with America, a robot developed by UK-based Engineered Arts. The initiative aims to help children to get up close and personal with the future of robotics.
To help bring robotics closer.
Cambodia held a blessing ceremony on Thursday to welcome back 14 looted antiquities from New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art. Cambodia's Cultural Minister Pheong Sakhona and U.S. Charge d'Affaires Andrew Harrop led the ceremony at the National Museum in Phnom Penh. Dozens of dessert enthusiasts gathered in Florida on Thursday for the key lime pie eating contest. The competitors are required to eat the pie face first and hands free. Hector Rodriguez took the top prize for finishing his pie in 58 seconds. The International Space Station on Thursday released images of green aurora lights recorded 250 miles above the Earth. Well, still to come on DD India News Hour. New Delhi will host the foreign ministers of the BIMSTEC grouping next week. World leaders adopt Astana document at the 24th Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Kazakhstan. And flood situation in India's northeastern state of Assam remains critical.
Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. Akshay Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Labour Party set for landslide victory in the UK general election. Exit poll shows Labour takes lead, secures 183 seats so far. Conservatives at 29. Defence Secretary Shapps loses his seat. Hopes rise in West Asia as US claims breakthrough in talks, says Hamas has made significant adjustment over hostage release deal. Israel sends delegation to Doha to resume talks with Hamas. Iran's presidential election heads to second round. No candidate secured a majority in the first round of the election on the 28th of June. And in sports, night of clash of the giants in Euro 2024 as host Germany to take on Spain in the first quarter finals, Portugal to take on France later in the night. Well, with an opportunity to exchange views on important regional and international issues of mutual interest, senior officials from India, Australia, Japan and the United States met via video conference on Wednesday to review the progress made by various Quad working groups in achieving the commitments made during the 2023 Quad Leaders Summit. Discussion held on new ideas to further boost the Quad's collaboration in delivering public goods in the Indo-Pacific region, climate resilience, enhancing maritime domain awareness, countering terrorism and enhancing telecommunication resiliency through undersea cable connectivity. The officials look forward to continuing regular consultations in the lead up to the next Quad Leaders Summit to be hosted by India. And New Delhi will host the foreign ministers of the BIMSTEC grouping next week on July 11th. BIMSTEC, or Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, is a 7-member grouping which has Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Thailand as its members. The grouping basically includes countries that border the Bay of Bengal as its members, working towards cooperation in the region in several areas. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar delivered a speech on behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the SCO Summit in the Kazakhstan capital of Astana. India pointed to mutual respect for territorial integrity, non-interference in internal affairs and non-use of force being the basis for the foreign policies of the 9 members of the bloc. DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre gets us more on this.
Leaders attending the 24th meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization posed for a group photo at the Palace of Independence in Astana, capital of Kazakhstan. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Kazakhstan President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and leaders from other member countries participated in an in-depth exchange of views to deepen cooperation across the board under the evolving geopolitical landscape, to address major international and regional issues of the day and plan for the future development of the SCO. From the Indian side, the External Affairs Minister who led the delegation delivered Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks at the SCO summit, which called for finding common ground to mitigate the consequences of ongoing conflicts and tensions, respect for sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity of nations, a united fight against terrorism, isolation and exposure of those countries that harbor terrorists, provide safe havens and condone terrorism, joint efforts against climate change.
Our central thrust was that the primary purpose of SCO, the original purpose, was to combat terrorism and combat extremism. We therefore got an endorsement today very explicitly combating terrorism, all forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism, terror financing, harboring terrorists. So if you look actually at the whole terrorism paragraph, it is much, much stronger than anything which the SCO has said before.
Dr. S. Jaishankar also held several bilateral meetings with his counterparts from Russia, China, Tajikistan, Belarus and others, where the leaders discussed the matters of mutual interest. Meanwhile, after 2 days of discussions and deliberations, the leaders adopted a Astana document which called for a range of steps for growth, security, prosperity of SCO member states. These steps included a comprehensive reform of the United Nations to strengthen its authority, strict adherence to the nuclear non-proliferation regime, strict prohibition of the development and production of biological and toxic weapons, outer space to be free from weapons. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, with its steady expansion over the past several years, has become a multinational forum of true global importance. However, how the member states alleviate each other's concern, work towards resolving differences and work towards each other's mutual benefit will actually be a determining factors of the true success of the SCO. In New Delhi, with camera person Alok Gupta, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
Well, the Global India AI Summit 2024 concluded in New Delhi on Thursday, with India reiterating its commitment to advancing responsible AI development. As the lead chair of the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, India hosted 28 member countries, AI experts, industry leaders, academia and other stakeholders to work towards promoting safe, secure and trustworthy AI ecosystem. DD India's Amritpal Singh reports for more.
Meeting the rising infrastructure requirements of artificial intelligence arena and increasing AI readiness are some of the biggest issues faced by the developing countries intent on leveraging sophisticated AI technologies to fast-track the realization of their growth and development aspirations. This formed the core of the discussions on Day 2 of the Global India AI Summit that concluded in New Delhi on Thursday. The conference also explored strategies to support and bolster the growth of AI startups.
While the government's approach is to build an inclusive AI infrastructure mirroring the successful adoption and development of DPI or digital public infrastructure, the need of the hour is to foster a climate of innovation that could come about by partnering with startups and entrepreneurs.
We need a single roof where all the researchers, the developers, the startups like us can connect together, share value and provide value and make policies around it so that we can go on the ground, such like the developers like us, and build the solution which real India need.
It's really good to see the government taking the initiative, right from building the digital public infrastructure to providing, coming up with the digital data protection bill.
Inclusive nature of AI that would bring the transformation into the society, that is a larger aspect of it.
This is a platform where we meet fellow entrepreneurs in government, in corporates, in academia, so which helps us identify the complementary platform, complementary solutions.
With the aim of fostering greater global cooperation, a closer integration of the global partnership of artificial intelligence with the OECD could help shape the future of AI for safe, secure and a beneficial AI ecosystem. Amritpal Singh for DD India.
Well, the 6th East Asia Summit EAS Conference on Maritime Security Cooperation is being held in West Indian city of Mumbai, co-chaired by India, Australia and Indonesia. The two-day conference is aimed at promoting cooperation in the Indo-Pacific and support implementation of the EAS Plan of Action. Discussions at the event are set to address critical issues including maritime domain awareness, capacity building and joint exercises among regional navies. Key stakeholders including representatives from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Australia, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia and various international organizations are participating, reflecting the conference's significance in shaping regional security architecture. And the flood situation in India's northeastern state of Assam remains critical, with over 2.1 million people affected in 29 districts. 52 people have lost their lives due to floods so far, while over 39,000 inmates are taking shelter in relief camps. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for states of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, as extremely heavy to heavy rainfall is expected. An orange alert issued for sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland as well. Also, the flood situation in Assam's Kaziranga National Park remains critical, as 173 forest camps are still submerged under the water. The Assam Forest Department works tirelessly to rescue wildlife from the rain-battered area. Despite challenging conditions, they have successfully rescued 65 wild animals, including several endangered species. The rescued animals including rhinoceros, deer and other smaller mammals that were stranded or injured due to high water levels. And for more, we are now joined by Subina Roy from Assam on this. Well, Subina, the IMD has issued a red alert at some places and an orange alert at others. What's the current status?
Good morning, Lepakshi. The situation here is still critical. As you can see, the weather out here is still cloudy and heavy rainfalls have been occurring since morning. The IMD has issued red alert for Assam and Arunachal Pradesh for today. And for the rest of the northeastern states, the IMD has issued orange alert. The situation, if you talk about the overall situation of Assam, the over 21 lakhs have been affected by the flood. It has been increasing the number of population affected. Like in more than 3,000 villages are affected. In 107 revenue circles are affected. And if we talk about the rivers which are flowing above danger level, Brahmaputra at Niyamati Ghat, Jorhat, Tejpur, Guwahati, Kamrup, Dhubri is flowing above danger level, and its other tributaries like Buri Dihing was flowing above the highest flood level until yesterday, but now it is above danger level. Like the water level has reduced in Buri Dihing, which is a tributary of Brahmaputra. The other rivers which are flowing above danger level are Subansiri, Dikho, Disang, Bara, Kushiari, Kathakal. These are the rivers. Lepakshi, this is to be noted that in the upper Assam, the situation has improved. Like the huge outflow of water was due to a cloudburst that happened in Arunachal Pradesh. Heavy rainfalls in Arunachal Pradesh and in Assam resulted in overflowing of rivers. Now, these waters have reduced in the upper Assam. However, the water level has increased in the southern part of Assam, the lower Assam, the Barak region, the Karimganj region, the Guwahati also, it has affected, since the water is flowing from upper Assam to lower Assam, and finally the water will lead its way to the Bay of Bengal, Lepakshi. Like if you talk about
Yeah, Subina, so how is the rescue work going on? As you say, the water level at the south of Assam is increasing. So how is the rescue work going on there?
Lepakshi, the rescue work has been 24/7. The NDRF, SGRF, local authorities and the Indian Army as well, Indian Air Force has been continuously working day and night to evacuate people from low-lying areas. Like on Tuesday, 13 fishermen were rescued from a sandbar in Brahmaputra in Dibrugarh district. The Indian Air Force had rescued them. Similarly, the NDRF and STRF, every day they are rescuing people, not just people, but also animals. To talk about the latest report yesterday, around 170 medical teams were deployed. Around 118 boats were deployed to evacuate. Around over 1,000 persons were evacuated yesterday from flood-affected areas. And if we talk about animals, even animals were evacuated. Around 600 animals were evacuated yesterday. The maximum numbers of people who were evacuated are from Dibrugarh, because Lepakshi, there has been embankment breaches in Kwang and Tengaghat area, due to which lots of villages have been inundated. And that's why the NDRF and SDRF had to rescue these people. Yesterday, around 436 people were evacuated from Dibrugarh district, and followed by Borpeta, where around 245 people were evacuated, Lepakshi.
All right, Subina, thank you so much for that update from there. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Indian Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi met the Chief of Army Staff of Bangladesh, General Zaman, in Dhaka. Both leaders discussed long-standing and robust ties between the two nations. They also talked about the initiatives for enhancing defense cooperation and exploring further avenues in areas of training and joint exercises between the armed forces of Bangladesh and India. The floor test of the new government in Jharkhand, led by Chief Minister Hemant Soren, who took oath of office for the third time on Thursday, will be held on the 8th of July during a special session of the Jharkhand Legislative Assembly. Soren early on Thursday took oath as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand, days after he walked out of jail in a money laundering case. In anticipation of the flood season, India's National Disaster Response Force conducted a mock exercise in Pratapgarh aimed at preventing and mitigating the impact of potential floods in various vulnerable regions. These exercises are crucial for ensuring that all residents are prepared to respond effectively in the event of an actual flood disaster. The mock exercise included simulated flood scenarios where NDRF teams practiced rescue and relief operations. Strawberries harvest season marks a significant event for local farmers in India's Nilgiris. Traditionally known for tea plantations, the region's cool climate and rich soil have proven to be ideal for strawberry cultivation as well. The introduction of strawberries as an alternative crop has brought a new wave of prosperity to many farmers, allowing them to diversify their income sources. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Unified payment interface reaches Paris. Millions gather to watch T20 World Cup trophy victory parade in Mumbai. And Americans celebrate Independence Day with parades, cookouts, and spectacular fireworks.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana, on to some business news now. The Unified Payments Interface went live at the flagship store of the world-renowned Galeries Lafayette in Haussmann, Paris. Javed Ashraf, Ambassador of India to France, launched UPI by live use at the store. This comes days ahead of the Paris Olympics starting on the July 26th. Launched in the year 2016 in India, the Unified Payment Interface is a system that allows users to make instant mobile payments between bank accounts using a single app. And the US dollar was hovering near three-week lows on Friday ahead of payrolls data that will likely influence the outlook for rates, while the pound was firm as the Labour Party looked set to win a massive majority in the UK general election. The euro was little changed as traders refrained from making major bets, with France gearing up for a runoff election on Sunday. And Asian share markets scaled new highs on Friday as investors sized up US rate cuts. Japan's Nikkei nudged up to record levels, as did Taiwan's benchmark, while the euro hit a three-week peak ahead of French elections. Sterling was firm at $1.27 as Britain's Labour Party was set for a landslide poll victory that will sweep it to par after 14 years of Conservative rule. And Samsung Electronics estimated a more than 15-fold rise in its second quarter operating profit on Friday as the rebounding semiconductor prices driven by the AI boom lifted earnings from a low base a year ago. The world's largest memory chip, smartphone and TV maker estimated its operating profit rose to 10.4 trillion in the quarter ended June 30th. While you're watching DD India News, our time now for some sports news. The T20 World Cup winning Indian team received an abundant outpouring of love at the Wankhede during the victory parade in an open-top bus on Thursday. The nation flocked on the streets to appreciate the players who helped end India's 11-year wait for an ICC trophy. Captain Rohit Sharma and star batsman Virat Kohli lifted the T20 World Cup 2024 trophy and showed it to the fans gathered in large numbers all along the route. Take a look.
World Cup champions Team India were given a rousing welcome after they landed in India amidst thunderous applause and chants of India, India. The victory procession in an open bus carrying the Indian cricket team was held from the National Centre for Performing Arts at Nariman Point till Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Massive sea of excited fans and people from around Mumbai took over the streets and covered every inch of Marine Drive. The victory parade was organised by BCCI days after Rohit Sharma led Team India to win the ICC T20 International World Cup 2024, ending 11-year-long drought of an ICC title. Departing from Barbados after Hurricane Beryl, Rohit Sharma's team India touched down in New Delhi on Thursday. Led by Captain Rohit Sharma, the team was greeted by a sea of ecstatic fans and a flurry of media personnel at the New Delhi airport. Fans waved the national flag, held up banners and cheered for their heroes who had brought the coveted trophy back to the nation. The Indian cricket team then met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his residence at Lok Kalyan Marg in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi congratulated the T20 World Cup winning team during the hour-long meeting, where the cricket team players were seen sharing a laugh as they were reminiscing the World Cup campaign. India's triumph has not only ended 11-year drought for an ICC trophy, but also ignited the passion of cricket fans across the country. As celebrations continue throughout India, one thing is clear: the 2024 T20 World Cup victory will be remembered as a defining moment in Indian cricket history. Sports Desk, DD India.
And host Germany will face off against Spain in the first quarter-final of Euro 2024 in Stuttgart on Friday. Germany takes on fellow title contender Spain in their mouth-watering clash, hoping to end a winless run at tournaments against them that stretches back to 1988. The Germans are enjoying their best international tournament in 8 years, with home fans desperate for their first title in a decade, but their match against the Spaniards is also seen as a premature final between two of the hottest teams in the competition. Meanwhile, the Portugal squad also held a training session ahead of the Euro 2024 quarter-final clash against France. To advance at the tournament, Roberto Martini's squad must first get past World Cup finalist France, who have flattered to deceive so far in Germany. Portugal and France meet in the quarter-finals in Hamburg on Friday in a replay of the 2016 final, which Portugal won 1-0 on French soil. And US President Joe Biden marked Independence Day with a celebration at the White House to mark the day of the values of freedom, democracy and unity. Thousands of people gather on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. to watch fireworks celebrating US Independence Day. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back